Kim Strong on the line right now. Kim, your video went viral last week, where it was an emotional outcry, and seemed that it was done on Facebook Live last week, right?
Yes, it was.
And what happened? You had said, "I'm done. You're attacking me. You're bullying me." What had happened to you?
I had a problem with an individual, and they went on a cyberbullying mission to destroy me. And then a few people who don't like me, because, there's quite a few out there that don't, joined on the bandwagon, and they started sending anonymous letters to the city of Utica, the fire department, to all sorts of people, Central New York SPCA.
We're getting some of those letters. The problem is the letters are not signed, and there's nothing I can do with a letter that's not signed.
Well, can I ask Kim some questions about what's in the letter, though?
Sure.
Honestly,
I didn't read the letter.
I've never read them.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're familiar with the accusations.
By the way, Kim runs a rescue for dogs, right?
Yep.
And you still run Laney's Army.
Yep.
And you have a new facility. You're over on Broad Street now.
Yep.
And you love the word "yep." I've noticed that.
I do.
Yeah, it's one of her favorites.
I'm sorry. I'm just coming off a cold, so my voice is a little crappy right now.
Okay, fair enough. Manaski's going to ask some questions.
Okay. Well, Kim, I think people have said this before, and you've addressed it before. But, we got a letter, and I'm paraphrasing here. I don't have it in front of me. It says, basically, Kim claims she's got 40 dogs. How many dogs do you have in there right now?
We actually have 80.
You have 80.
We haven't claimed 40 since we were over on Oriskany Boulevard. That's when we had 40.
Okay.
So the letter says she claims there's 40, but it's actually well over 100. And then they live that the dogs live in filth. There's feces all over and urine, and I believe there's a vague reference to nobody's there with them during the day. Yet you might show up later in the day and try to walk as many of them as you can. Basically, they're not being properly cared for. And I think people have thrown this at you before.
They've done it. This is like the third or fourth time they've done this. We have 9 staff on duty throughout the day. And of course, they have days off. And then we have volunteers. This weekend, I had 16 people here on Saturday and 14 on Sunday. Volunteers, and that's just the volunteers, never mind the staff.
Yeah.
So this building is supervised 24 hours a day. These dogs are never left alone. And everybody knows that because they come here all hours of the day and night.
Are a lot of the dogs pit bulls, or are they all kinds of dogs?
We have a multitude. We have huskies and shepherds. I've got Jack Russells. Primarily, they are bulls who have had trouble in other places. Some that have a bite history. Some that have had problems with other dogs, and they're here to be rehabbed. And once they're able to pass a canine good citizenship test, they can be adopted out.
Okay. What if you can't? I mean, if the
then
dog...
they'll live in sanctuary with us.
Okay. All right.
And of course, there's always a possibility, and we always, if a dog is too dangerous to handle, or we can't keep him or her safe with staff and me, then we contact the people who sent him to us, and they have to make a decision.
Okay, so the dog could be put down.
It's a rare thing. We've done it, I think, 3 times in my history.
Okay.
In 11 years, I've done 3 dogs. And it's a human safety factor because while I am an animal advocate, human safety is above everything else.
Okay. Why are these people attacking you like this?
Well, it's the same group that was attacking me a few years ago when you covered the same type of story. They just, when somebody else gets mad and goes on social media against me, they just jump on the bandwagon. It's the same letters. I mean, they're copy paste. Primarily, the bodies of the letters are the same.
But you will admit, I mean, this time it was different because this time you went viral, and. Well,
here's the thing: I went viral because I had a dog for 5 years. His name was Garrett, and I put him down that morning.
Okay.
And because he had sent letters to all the news stations, they showed up at the building, and I mean, they were accusing me of starving dogs, throwing dogs in the dumpster.
Yeah.
And I have beef bones that our dogs get every day from a butcher.
Mm-hmm.
And we get garbage cans of beef bones. I actually had the police here at one point saying, well, you're cutting up dogs and throwing them in the dumpster.
So they
I'm like,
were
come
seeing
on.
the bones, yeah. Is it okay to
Yeah.
give your dog bones? I was always told
Raw bones.
raw
Never
bones.
cooked.
Never cooked. Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Cooked can splinter in their intestines and cause blockages.
Okay.
Raw will disintegrate.
That's why
Yeah.
chicken wing bones are so bad, right?
Well, chicken wings,
Huh?
chicken bones are bad. Period. I think.
Chicken bones are bad, but they do. There are people who feed a raw diet who do feed chicken bones.
Okay, but it's but
I'm talking
with
about
raw.
like chicken wings, you
Raw,
know, like
yeah.
you get it.
Yeah, but anyway,
Yeah, not cooked chicken wings. So the whole point is, this is the same round that comes around every couple of years.
Okay.
I
Right.
kick somebody off. They go to social media. The bandwagon people who follow my page, because they're still on my page.
Yeah.
We have Lainey and my page are both public, so anybody can see anything. I don't have a private page.
Okay.
I don't, everything I post is public, whether you're a member or a friend or not. You can see everything we do,
Okay.
and we've been that way since day one because I don't hide.
Kim, can I ask you a couple more questions? One of the other, and I know you're addressing these, and we appreciate it. It says she has no vaccinations, health, adoption, or euthanasia records. Let me ask you about the medical care. What kind of care do the dogs get? Are they vaccinated? Do they see a veterinarian on a regular basis, or how are their medical needs addressed?
Well, as I said, the day I did that video, I was at Dr. Lawton.
Okay.
We have, I think, close to $18,000 in vet bills since January. You can't have unvaccinated dogs and have those kind of vet bills.
Yeah. Okay.
It's impossible.
So you're saying your dogs are vaccinated? They are getting
They're vaccinated. We have
care.
4 who had surgery in the last 2 months, month and a half. One had to have some teeth extracted that came to us. One had an infected toe. We had to have that dealt with. We had a heartworm positive dog that came up. She goes for her treatments. And the dogs all come to me vaccinated.
Yeah. Okay.
One more thing. How would you describe the facility you're in now? Because I go ahead.
It's 6,000 square feet, and the dogs are in Great Dane kennels, which are 54-inch tall. Some of the bigger dogs are in 4x4 kennels. They go out in the yard. They get walked. They run in an 11,000 square foot yard that's in the back of the facility. It's all fenced in. That's what we do every day, all day long.
Is the goal to get these dogs adopted? Is that what the goal is?
Absolutely. We're on. We put them on the website. We're for like Pet Finder and Adopt a Pet and all the different websites. Right. And people, we cross network them, of course, on Facebook.
Has the SPCA authorities, police, that sort of thing, since these people are reporting you, have they investigated and did they?
Yeah, they've been in.
Okay, did they? So they didn't shut you down?
Oh God, no.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I can't imagine with how long that Kim's been doing this, if there were any issues, especially with how diligent the SPCA and a lot of these other organizations are. I'd find it hard to believe that she'd still be in business if a lot of these accusations were true.
They would do, if anything, because, there are 80 dogs here, they would do a season place order.
Yeah.
And I would be banned from the building, and they would have people come in and take care of the dogs until they could rehome them. Or if they couldn't rehome them, because some of the dogs, the sanctuary dogs, are not going to be able to go into a shelter and be adopted, they would be euthanized.
There was one person that said at the last place when you're on Oriskany Boulevard, which was the old Reels lighting building, I believe, right? That it was that when you left, it was extremely filthy. That there was feces all over the place. That it almost destroyed the building. How do you answer to that? And are those some of the people that are attacking you now?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so
answer. It's all the same.
Was it left in
the same people?
Was it left in a very horrible state?
The floors are bad because the floors hadn't been sealed before we moved in.
Okay.
Hadn't been sealed,
that was
you
my
said?
first time going into a kennel, and we didn't seal the concrete. We buffed it, but didn't seal it.
Oh, so
and that was a problem.
So the urine and feces soaked
Here
into the
we
concrete.
sealed them before we moved in.
Okay.
And that made a big difference.
Okay.
I will say this, though, about that.
How do you get rid of that smell out of concrete?
Right. Right. But I would expect the same type of a thing. Hey, CNY SPCA's been up there, you said, right? Recently?
Yes.
Yeah.
Last 2 weeks.
Again, I would say if you're, I don't want to mention any by name, but if you're a humane society, right, I would have to imagine the building you've been in for a while with hundreds of cats and dogs is going to.
Yeah, let's be honest. You can't get every animal out every time they have to use the bathroom,
right?
Especially if you've got 80 dogs.
Would you allow?
There's a reason I have piles and piles and piles and piles of laundry.
Yeah.
When they do mess in their cage, we change them and we.
Well, the question would be though,
and go out.
In fairness, the question would be, if you have 80 dogs that you can't, you're saying you can't get all the dogs out and you can't take. It's going to.
Well, no,
so
they
are
go
you?
Out
are you
a day every day?
Are you okay to have 80 dogs? I mean, do you have the type of volunteers and facility that it takes to have 80 dogs?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That's what the volunteers, as I said, 9 people plus outdoor kennels.
Yeah. Do you have times though that you say you had this weekend? You had like 9. You had 15 people on this weekend. Do you end up with, because we all know how the volunteer thing works, do you end up in a situation where some weekends it's tough to get volunteers and all of a sudden it's...
That's why we have staff.
Okay. So you do have paid...
That's why we have staff.
And how do you pay the staff? How does that work out?
We do a lot of fundraising.
Okay.
And we get paid to rehab dogs.
All right.
Some of the dogs are sponsored when they come here. And that provides for the staffing, the rent, the insurance, and the power.
Okay. Well, listen, if
we had 3 new furnaces installed here.
Okay.
You know, because I'm big on the dogs being comfortable and warm.
Sure. Especially when it's cold.
So, you know what? As I said, everybody, the city, everybody does their due diligence, and you can't complain about that when they get letters like that I'm starving dogs to death. And, you know, like I told, you know, one of the reporters, I'm like, go look in the van outside.
Yeah.
There's close to 6,000 pounds worth of dog food in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't starve my dogs.
I can't imagine.
Starved dogs in town.
I can't imagine you. You seem to love animals to the point where you'll chain yourself out in the cold so that you're setting an example for people out there not to leave their dogs chained outside during the winter months. Yeah.
I mean, I had complaints that because we run dogs literally 18 hours a day, we put them outside and let them run in the yard. You're leaving dogs outside all day and all night long. Well, they're not the same dogs.
Well, right, okay, fair enough. Well,
you know what I mean? They go in, they go out, they go in, they go out, all for 18 hours a day.
I would say this, that knowing you over the years, you seem to be extremely passionate about dogs, and I can't imagine you being in a situation where you are intentionally hurting animals. However, over the course of the last 10 years or whatever it's been since you've been doing this, Laney's Army, do you feel that maybe the justification why these people are so intent on attacking you and shutting you down is because in the beginning, like you said, you didn't know the floor had to be sealed, but you learned that. In the beginning, were you a little over your head in the beginning and you've learned from that? Would you say that's a fair statement?
Was I over my head? No, we got into some... we didn't have the volunteer base that I have now.
Okay. Well, that would be kind of over your head. That would be like...
we had the staff, and, you know, so we could get them out and get them walked and get them taken care of, and we get them to the vet. But we outgrew our facility.
Okay.
Over there.
All right.
Which is why we had to move to a much bigger facility.
And you are in a larger facility right now on Broad Street, so...
Yeah, we have 11,000 square feet total over here.
I'm sorry.
On the inside and... that on the outside as well.
I'm sorry you had to put your dog down last week, and it seemed very emotional, and you were very, very upset. So I'm sorry for that.
Well, you know what? There's no laws. There's no laws to stop people.
I know you wanted to mention...
Well, there is an online bullying law in Oneida County. You did mention that earlier.
Which has teeth.
Yeah, but you know what? We went to the police. We went to the district attorney, and they never went far enough. And because it's anonymous, there was nothing anybody could do, so you kind of just have to stand there and take it.
That law can't do anything.
That gets
old
after
I don't
a while.
think so either. Yes. But I mean, it would be an interesting test case. I'm not advocating for that law. That's not what I'm saying.
I did during your video last week. You said you stalked me, you bullied me, cyberbullied me, and apparently I can't do anything about it. So now I'm going to bully you. Are you being aggressive and going back at them?
No. Honestly, I'm not, because I talked to some people, and they're like, Kim, what are you going to do? And I'm like, you know what? My goal has never been to hurt anyone ever.
Yeah.
I don't get any pleasure out of hurting people. These people do. And they're like, that's not you. That's not who you are.
So you're
and
not
I'm
going
like,
to
right,
retaliate.
It's not.
Okay.
You
All
know
right.
what? But it just, you get to a point where I called, the YWCA, and they were very helpful, but there's nothing anybody can do.
Yeah.
We went to the police department. We filed a police report. And again, no lines were crossed. No physical threats were made.
Right,
so,
right.
Well,
yeah.
And Bill, I have 8,000 followers on one page and 10,000 on another.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can feel bullied and threatened and scared for what these people can do to you, then what does a person with a small network do? What does a person with, who faces this kind of thing and faces, character attacks and every attack known to man, what do? Who do they turn to? Because there is nothing out there for adults. There's a lot for cyberbullying for kids.
It becomes a very tricky problem because there's
freedom of
free speech
and all that. I know.
They're criticizing what they believe is you're mistreating animals. So it becomes their First Amendment right to be able to come out. So, but again, that's why
that's
why we wanted to have you on to be able to so you could tell your side of the story.
Well, Bill, I appreciate that very much, and thank you for being fair.
All right.
And giving me a chance to do that.
All right, Kim, thanks so much. And ultimately, I think you really do care. I really do. So good luck out there, okay?
All right. You have a great day.
Thanks. That's Kim Strong. You can look her up on Facebook, Laney's Army. Did you have more that I...
No. I was just going to say, I think there's no question that she obviously cares, okay? But
the part about getting in over, this is why I brought that up, because, and she said, well, we weren't over our head, we just didn't have the volunteers. Well, that would mean that at one point, maybe early on, you were in over your head.
And I didn't want to get too much further into it, but it's like, she's at 80 dogs now, right, roughly. But I feel like in another year or two, she's probably going to be at 150 dogs, because these people are breeding these animals and they're being mistreated. I guess my concern, there's no question about her passion for this and her love of these animals. I just wonder at what point is enough enough?
Can she handle it?
Well, I think, yes, there's 80 now, and like you said, there'll probably be an increase maybe in the summer and things like that. But, if she's adopting out and taking necessary appropriate action when she needs to, I think the number will kind of balance itself out. And I just maintain that we have really good kind of safe-proof or safety nets in the area, such as the SPCA and stuff, that I don't think Kim would be in business as long as she has, had there been, safety concerns like that.
All right.